In a shocking yet monumental decision, the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit ruled in favor of the Environmental Health Trust, EHT, and Children's Health Defense led by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. against the Federal Communications Commission, FCC. This landmark case revealed the FCC's blatant disregard for mounting scientific evidence showing the harmful effects of radiofrequency radiation, RFR, from wireless devices. This victory is not just a win for the plaintiffs but a crucial step in protecting public health, especially for America's children. On August 13, 2021, the court declared the FCC's decision to retain its 1996 safety limits for human exposure to wireless radiation arbitrary and capricious. This ruling came after the FCC ignored extensive evidence of non-cancer health risks associated with RFR, including impacts on children, environmental harm, and testimonies from people injured by wireless radiation. The court mandated the FCC to provide a reasoned explanation for its outdated guidelines and address the implications of RFR on health and the environment. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been a relentless advocate for public health, suing numerous regulatory agencies over the years for failing to protect the public from harmful corporate practices. His victory against the FCC is a testament to his dedication and expertise in exposing regulatory capture, the phenomenon where regulatory agencies are controlled by the industries they are supposed to regulate. Kennedy's success in this case underscores the critical need for independent oversight and accountability in regulatory bodies. A stark contrast: government inaction versus military vigilance. While the FCC has shown a gross dereliction of duty, the U.S. Department of Defense continues to study the health impacts of wireless radiation. This discrepancy raises serious questions about the civilian government's priorities and its commitment to public health. The European Union and countries like France actively monitor and regulate EMF emissions, reflecting a stark contrast to the FCC's complacency. The French government has even recalled millions of phones for excessive radiation and mandated consumer information for pregnant women and teenagers to avoid exposing their abdomens to wireless devices. Adding to the absurdity, the National Toxicology Program, or NTP, recently announced it would stop studying the biological impacts of cell phone radiation, despite spending $30 million on research that found significant health risks, including cancer, heart damage, and DNA damage. This sudden cessation of research raises alarming questions about the motivations behind such a decision. The official explanation that the research was technically challenging and more resource-intensive than expected is a flimsy excuse that ignores the profound implications of this growing environmental exposure. It is beyond absurd that we have ample funds for military endeavors, yet we lack the resources to investigate and mitigate the health risks associated with wireless radiation. This situation reflects a profound misalignment of priorities. While the military continues to study EMF effects to protect its personnel, civilian agencies abandon the public to the mercy of unchecked radiation exposure. Blame can be placed on both regulatory agencies and the telecommunications industry for this negligence. However, consumers also bear responsibility for not demanding safer technology and more rigorous research. It is imperative that the public becomes more informed and vocal about the potential risks of wireless radiation. The power of collective action can drive significant change in industry practices and regulatory standards. Scientific evidence ignored for decades. The scientific community has been pointing to the risks of non-thermal RFR exposure for decades. Major studies like the Interphone study, Hardell Group studies, Serenat study, U.S. National Toxicology Program, Ramazzini Institute study, Reflex Project, Bio-Initiative Report, and the work of researchers like Dr. Henry Lai have consistently indicated increased health risks from cell phone radiation. These studies highlight the urgent need for continued research and updated safety guidelines. A call for renewed research and transparency. The decision to halt further research on cell phone radiation is a glaring abdication of responsibility. The FCC must be held accountable for ignoring scientific evidence and failing to protect public health. The establishment of a fund to support independent research, free from corporate and political influence, is essential. A nominal fee on wireless device users could easily generate the necessary resources to continue this critical work. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s victory against the FCC is a significant step in the fight for transparency and public health. It exposes the regulatory capture that has allowed the telecommunications industry to operate with impunity. This ruling should serve as a wake-up call to the public and lawmakers alike. It is a call to action to demand safer technology, continued research, and stringent regulations to protect our health and the environment. We need a congressional hearing to investigate how the FCC has operated above the law and to ensure such negligence never happens again. The U.S. needs a federal action plan on wireless radiation that prioritizes wired connections over wireless to reduce public exposure. Educating the public about the potential risks and safe usage of wireless devices is crucial. In the case against the FCC, the court found that the Commission had failed to update its safety guidelines for cell phone radiation, which were established in the 1990s and are based on outdated science. These guidelines ignore the vast body of research conducted in the past 2 decades, which highlights the non-thermal effects of radiofrequency radiation and their potential harm to human health. Exposure of regulatory capture. This case exposes the pervasive issue of regulatory capture, where agencies meant to protect the public are instead influenced by the industries they regulate. RFK Jr. highlighted that these agencies, including the FCC, have been co-opted by the corporations they are supposed to oversee, resulting in policies that favor corporate profits over public health. Scientific validation. The court acknowledged the significant body of scientific evidence showing that cell phone radiation poses serious health risks, including cancer, heart damage, and DNA damage. This validation of the scientific concerns is a major step forward in recognizing and addressing the potential dangers of RFR. Call for updated guidelines. The victory mandates that the FCC must reconsider its safety guidelines based on the latest scientific evidence. This means potential new regulations that better protect the public, especially vulnerable populations like children, from the harms of cell phone radiation. Increased awareness. This case brings much-needed attention to the potential health risks associated with cell phone radiation. Users should be aware of these risks and take steps to minimize their exposure, such as using speakerphone, texting instead of calling, and keeping phones away from the body. Potential regulatory changes. With the court's decision, there is hope that new, stricter guidelines will be established to limit exposure to harmful RFR. This could lead to safer cell phone designs and better consumer protection measures. Empowerment of the public. The victory empowers consumers to demand safer technology and more transparency from both regulatory bodies and the telecommunications industry. It underscores the importance of continued advocacy and research to protect public health. Visit RF Safe to learn more.